300.
Thanks, Dave. Dave Stillwell covering all of the action for us down in pit lane as we continue the countdown to the Viong Private Wealth Sydney 300. But we've got some more support category races to get through in the meantime. The Alfa Romeo combined field with the BMW E36 Series gearing up for what will be their third and final race of the evening. And I'm going to whack a headset on our guest commentator for this category, Richard McGee. Good evening, Richard.
Good evening. How are you, sir?
Very, very well, thank you. And so far, Mark Bagetto has been going very, very quickly, but hey, it looks like he's missing from pole position.
You know, today has been probably the worst attrition rate that we've had in 20 years. We've lost so many cars. We started off with 19 on that grid, and look what we have now. So
what happened to Mark's car? Do we have any idea why he's not?
I think he had cooling issues, but I can't be sure on that.
Yeah, what a shame for him. So that means that Simon Grierson will have the front row of the grid all to himself as we get ourselves set for a race start. Carmelo Mirabella in the Alfa 147 GTA lining up on row number 2 of the grid with Doug Selwood alongside him as we get the race underway. We've got just over 16 minutes on the clock for this one. And the combined field with the Alfa Romeos and also the BMW E36s. You might notice that a couple of those E36s are familiar because they're also running in the Sydney 300 as well. But Richard, Alfa Romeo racing, it always seems to attract a very loyal legion of competitors. It seems to be a tight-knit family down there in the Alfa Romeo community. How's the vibe down there so far this weekend?
Look, it's been great. We just 4 weeks ago we're down at One Raceway for our first outing at the revamped track, and it was 30 odd cars, and it's just a really good, strong basis of drivers that come along event by event by event.
Tell us about the different classes within the Alfa Romeos, because we've got Class A, we've got Class C, we've also got the TS or the Twin Spark class as well.
That's right, we've had no outright winner of our races since 2019 at the Shannons, and so what we have got is class winners. So within the field, as you see it there now, we've got Twin Sparks vying for the Twin Spark Cup. The variations in the Class A is a great example where today we've had 4 different types of Alphas in the Class A, from an old 116, a classic 116, through to a 1.4 Mito turbo, and the V6 of the Busso engine is out there in the front as well. So it's a great variety of various models across the range.
Yeah, it's been good to see that we do have some of the newer model Alphas coming into the category, and that's been something over the last 5 years or so, where we do have those newer 147s and 156s that have been built. Any plans to get into some of the even newer cars like Julia's, for example?
In terms of the Giulia, we have got someone who is preparing. He's out there. I won't put his name to it because he's out there right now in a 147 Twin Spark. We do have a couple of Giuliettas, we do have a Mito, and so they are bringing along the newer models.
Speaking of the Giulietta, there were actually some reports that Brody Kostecki, the supercars driver, was building a Giulia to take on the Bathurst 6 Hour.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. He really wanted to take it up to the BMWs, and he was going to be campaigning a Giulia QV, a very, very potent automobile.
Would that be eligible for this class or too fast?
Look, it's probably one of those things that the classes are there, and really our regs are pretty tight to make sure that we don't have any really outlandish cars going out there. It's not as competitive for them anyway. There's no prize for being way out in front of anyone. It is about competitive, close racing, and it would be awesome to have 2 or 3 Giulia QVs fighting it out.
Good battle happening at the moment. So a couple of BMW A30s dicing. We just saw Canberra driver Jeff Barnes getting past Aaron Lloyd for what was the battle for 5th position within the BMW A36 class. But we do also have the number 75 Alfa Romeo, 75 of Robert Panetta.
Been around a long time.
He sure has. That's a very familiar car, that one. and he's out there dicing with some of the BMWs as well. Another driver who's been around the Alfa scene for a very long time is Urs Muller in the number 64 twin spark car.
That's correct. Urs has been in a number of different cars over the time. He's had a BMW, he's had, I think he still has the Evo. So it's a very competitive driver, and is always in the front of the twin spark pack. So we can see even now we've got 4 twin sparks in a row, so they're actually vying for the cup there. Urs Muller's coming through there on turn 1, followed very closely by the classic of Rob Panetta in the 75.
And Rob Panetta has just got down the inside of Jeff Barnes there to pick up another spot as well. It's actually worked out quite well having the BMWs and the Alfa Romeos mixed in, because they're quite similar in terms of their lap times, so they race competitively against one another.
Yeah, well, it helps the BMWs because they can't field enough cars to have their own grid, so more than happy to help out. And MRA do a great job in doing what they need to do within the categories to be able to make sure that we've got competitive racing, and that's what I think we do have in it.
Rob Panetta on a bit of a charge at the moment, so he got ahead of Jeff Barnes, and now he's putting some pressure on Urs Muller. Coming up around the back part of the circuit, he'll have a look down the inside as they head up into turn number 6.
And a testament again to Urs out there, because the 156 that he's driving is very much series production 3E. It's got a lot of control in it in terms of suspension. We run a control tyre, whereas Rob Panetta in the 75, he's probably running on Yoko 50s in a semi-slick. So Urs is really doing well. But he's got past him.
Indeed he has. So Simon Grierson continuing to lead the way ahead of Carmelo Mirabella. Doug Selwood, that's another name that's been around Alphas for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, beautiful Grip S car. When you look at where Doug is on the grid usually, he's really taking it up to the turbos and the V6s. So well done. Hats off to Doug in his white 116.
Good to have a Group S car as part of the field this weekend. We've seen a number of the Group S Alfa Romeos running quite successfully within the Group S category. So we've got a big off-track excursion for Otis Sands there in the number 22 BMW E36 running wide at turn number 2. But those cars, they have been described as being quite neutral in their handling, so if you do make a mistake, fairly easy to recover from it, and Otis Sands not losing too much time with that little excursion at turn 2.
You mentioned the Group S cars, and we're down at the Winton Festival of Speed in the first weekend of August, and we should have around 32 Alphas on the grid, including probably around 8 or 9 of the Group S cars. So they'll come from South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland for the Winton Festival of Speed.
And then I think, is it Spencer Rice who has a Group N
that's
Alpha?
That's a rocket ship, and a very, very capable driver.
Indeed, another person who's been around the historic racing scene for quite a long time in Alpha territory. As we have a look, there's only 7/10 of a second in the battle for the lead between Grierson and Mirabella. So Grierson in that older GTV, whereas Mirabella's in the newer 147 GT8, so front wheel drive versus rear wheel drive cars battling it out for the lead here.
Indeed, and it just shows you that the pedigree of Alphas continues through. So we've had cars. Colin Wilson Brown was back out with his 105 today. Unfortunately, he had an issue, and so you've got cars from the 60s right through to 2000, 2007, 2008. When we get to Winton, we will have 51 years between the oldest Alpha and the newest Alpha on the grid. And as I say, go and find another mark in the world where you can have 51 years between the oldest and newest on a grid.
That is absolutely fantastic. Battles continuing a bit further down the field. So we've got Magoffin there, battling it out with Aaron Lloyd in one of the BMWs. Now,
very close there between Rick Magoffin, Matthew Kukuza and Brad Wilson.
Rick Magoffin was actually a DNF in the previous race, but good to see that he's got his car sorted out and back out on the track for this one.
Yes, he was kicking himself. He knew he should have changed his brake pads. They weren't quite up to scratch, so yeah, he changed the pads and he's out there again.
So where else does the Alfa Romeo series venture this year?
Most of the rounds are here.
Yep.
2 down at One Raceway this year, and Festival of Speed. Last year we were over at the Bend, got an invitation over there, and we had a great number of our guys head across. Such as the passion, you go to the Bend for a weekend. That's very close racing. Well done to Rick. He's keeping Matthew at bay there.
And yeah, around the outside goes Matthew Kukuza in the 147 car. They'll run side by side heading up the hill, and just maintaining a watching brief there. Brad Wilson in the number 10 car sitting in just behind.
He may be the winner out of this little tussle, we'll see.
He switches back to the outside as they get to the hairpin at turn number 8, looking to do the over and under, but just runs a little bit wide on the exit. Artificial light taking over from the natural light here as the sun sets at Sydney Motorsport Park.
We couldn't have wished for a more beautiful day when you consider the weather that Sydney's experienced over the last week. So it's certainly, look at that sunset, what a beautiful place to be.
And even the weather forecast was looking a little bit dodgy in the lead up to today as well, so we've been blessed with beautiful weather conditions this afternoon, expected to remain fine into the evening for the Sydney 300. Battle continues here just on the fringe of the top 10.
He's certainly doing a good job keeping out. Well done to Rick. This is Rick's second season. Son of Bill Magoffin, long-time campaigner in Group S.
Yes, I'm certainly familiar with Bill Magoffin. He's been around, another veteran of the Alfa Romeo racing community.
I think that the other thing is that when we look at the Twin Sparks, it is an extremely affordable car to get into. You should spend no more than 10 to 12 grand and have a very competitive car. We have very strict controls so as to make it equal and economic. We don't want people spending $30,000-$40,000 on specially built engines. We want to try and make it as affordable as possible to encourage the younger guys and know that they can do it on a very good budget.
These days, that $10,000 to $12,000, that's about the least money that you can pay for any sort of race car. So that's extremely affordable. What are they like in terms of maintenance? Because I know that Alfa Romeo, no disrespect to the brand, but it has had a bit of a patchy reputation for reliability over the years.
I think that I think that's old school. It really had some early issues in terms of quality control.
Yep.
But when you look at the modern Alfa Romeos, they're doing high kilometres. We're taking these cars, which are basically road cars, and flogging the living daylights out on doing 6,000-7,000 RPM. Over the last 5 years, we've only done a couple of engines. I mean, that shows you the strength of these road-going cars that have then been transformed into a race car. So overall, very, very reliable cars.
If people want to find out more information on this category, Richard, is there a website or some social media channels that you can direct people towards?
Yeah, you could log on to the twinsparkcup.com.au website or go to the Alfa Romeo Owners Club here in New South Wales. There are links all through there, and it'll give you all the contact details. We have our regulations published so that people know that they've got a roadmap. The aim of the Cup was very much aimed at the Super Sprint, so that people knew that they could buy a car and do minimal changes to it, go super sprinting, do that for a couple of years, get some experience under your belt, and then if you wish, go into racing. So there's a very clear roadmap to go from super sprint to race. Checkered
flag has come out to finish this race, so Simon Grierson taking the win in the final Alfa Romeo race of the weekend, and in the end the margin was extremely tight, just 0.7 of a second between Greason and Carmelo Mirabella, who came home in second position. Here comes Doug Selwood in that beautiful Group S car to complete the race in position number 3, taking the win in the BMW E36 class. Rob Bowden, Otter Sands recovering very well after that off-track excursion at turn 2 to finish just 1.5 seconds behind Bowden. And really good drive from Robert Panetta. He certainly turned it on for us in that race, didn't he, Richard? Made up a number of positions, and he will finish up 6th outright and 4th best of the Alphas.
Yeah, it's been a solid performer over many years in his capable hands. He has a business manning motors down at Brookvale, and so he has a lot of experience in building engines and maintaining cars to a high level.
David Bailey coming home in 7th position, Jeff Barnes 8th. They are the 3rd and 4th best of the A36s.
With Urs Muller taking out the position 1 in the Twin Spark Cup.
Yeah, very well done to the veteran Urs Muller there. Aaron Lloyd home in position 11.
And Matthew has got past Rick Magoffin. He takes 2nd place. And I think Brad Wilson. Brad got Rick as well. So a good fight back from Brad Wilson.
And Ken McKay's
come through in his beautiful little white Twin Spark.
And Shane McLaren rounding out the finishes. Just before I let you go, Richard, you talked about the Alfa Romeo Owners Club. I will say that having recently joined the BMW Drivers Club myself, I'm starting to appreciate the really important role that owners clubs take in bringing new people into motorsport, because it might start out as social drive days in your road car, then it will progress to track days and super sprints, and then into circuit racing, and it seems like the Alfa Romeo Club is very passionate about creating that pathway as well.
That's correct. I mean, the history of Alfa Romeo, of course, is racing. And when you look at the Alfa Club in New South Wales and Victoria, etc., very diverse. There's people that have never been to a racetrack. That's fine. They just have a love of their Alfa Romeo, and so they may do social drives. Today, we had, I think, nearly 70 cars in our parade lap, and then lined up on the grid. We had a drone taking footage. So that was an incredible event. With something like 90 to 100 people at lunch up in the suites here at Sydney Motorsport Park. So live and well, very diverse club, many different interests. One thing is common, and that is their love of the marque of Alfa Romeo, which is 115 years old this year.
We're looking forward to seeing Alfa Romeos on the track here, down at One Raceway and at other circuits around Australia throughout the remainder of 2025. Richard McGee, thanks very much for letting you jump out and bring Dan McCarthy back into the commentary box for the next race on the program. Cars are heading out onto the circuit right now to warm up for the MX-5s and the MGs